And what is up, guys? Technical Stinkers here, checking on my mark. 3, 2. What is up, guys? Technical Stinkers here, checking in on our little 3D print operation for the day. If you're new to the channel, uninitiated or unfamiliar, I do 3D printing here at home, stuff to improve my life, fix stuff around the house, maybe sell for money, or just generally show off, have a good time. If you're interested in any of those things, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Lots of stuff going on, and figured I'd vlog about it. Printer's obviously quiet because, you know, that's, you'd think I would shoot these while the printers are humming, but we've got lots of fruits of our labor, a cornucopia of plastic overflowing, a bountiful harvest. I'm gonna take a look at some of those things, check in on some things we've been working on. If you've been following the channel, you know I've been BD in this Orange Storm Giga. BD stands for something I don't, well, I'm balls deep in the Orange Storm Giga. Let's just say knuckle deep in the Orange Storm. So if you've been following that process, the Orange Storm Giga, I got a lot of views off of it. When I first got it, people are telling me like, that's a tinkering machine. You're gonna hate that thing, because I don't like tinkering. I just want the printers to work. But the Orange Storm Giga has been generating a lot of views for the channel, and it's wildly inconsistent. So, you know, I'd be able to get a couple prints out of it, and then it'd be a problem. Couple prints, problem, back and forth, back and forth. And the thinking behind this is like, you know what, let's get the Giga to a point where it's consistent, it works well, and I don't have to make so many episodes about fixing problems on the Giga versus just showing off what I can print. So it's been a learning experience, to say the least. I've been learning a lot about 3D printers over this process. Special thanks to everybody who's been reaching out to help me along in this, because a lot of these things are very foreign to me, a lot of very technical stuff, a lot of tinkering, technical tinkers, if you will, through this process. To brief update there, and I'll recap all of this. Been working a lot on the printhead here. Let's go back in time a little bit, because I think I filmed something preemptively because I was using my brain to think, you know what, I should probably film this and incorporate it into the vlog later. Let's see what past Matt had to say. Check. All right, so this is gonna be one of those flashback things. I'll probably start the vlog in the garage in uniform and be like, well, let's go back in time and see what I was talking about then. This is that segment. So I was not talking to anybody. I was actually reaching out to community members. I found the Open Giga Discord, and there's a channel in there for Giga development, and a lot of people doing the Giga conversion, the Blue Storm Terra conversion. But all these people are like, it's kind of a dead channel. It seems like it was most active like 3, 4, 5 months ago. And not a lot of activity since, which I imagine that people have kind of either figured it out on their own and just, you know, there's no reason for them to go back there, or they kind of gave up. But I've been messaging people there, and I also messaged Luke's lab, and I don't want to message him too much because like he's running a business. He ain't got time to mess around with me. But he had a genius idea. So the problem is that like I was saying previously, the Luke's lab kit has this aluminum frame that it comes with, and you assemble the new print head around the tool board from the Giga. So you have to flash the tool board with new firmware in order for it to work. And this is probably one of the most insane things that I've ever heard of. But the easiest, why don't you just clip this to your shirt? This is one of the most insane things I've ever heard to do. So in order to flash the tool board, there are a few ways to do it, but a lot of people are saying the easiest way to do it, I couldn't believe it when I read this on the guide. I don't have the wire in here still, but essentially you take a USB cable and you cut it, and there are 4 wires on the inside, and then you take those little bare wires and you solder them to these contact points on the tool board, or affix them somehow, but solder's really the only way. Point being is putting these little microfine wires on here just to flash the firmware and then pull it off. That's insane to me. And plus you got to get to the boot button that's down in here. This is something that really should have been done prior to assembling the tool head. I can't put it on Luke to like advise doing that, because there's a million ways to do it. So what I really wanted to do is use, as I was saying, the EBB42 from Big Tree Tech, because this will give me a lot more flexibility. But as I was saying, there's just no way to fit. I mean, she's thick. You know, she's significantly thick. It ain't gonna fit in that space. So I was like, okay, well maybe I can have another one machined. You know, maybe I can use PCB way or something like that. I've ghosted them so many times on sponsorship that I'm afraid to even reply to their emails, because it has never worked out. It was never really, juice wasn't worth the squeeze, but they do offer machining services. And so I was like, you know what? I got the CAD file off Luke's website, And then I just added 5 millimeters of clearance here to this bottom bracket. Now the print did fail, which is odd because I was putting it at a really, really fine layer height, 100%. I think this film, actually this green is the very first roll of bamboo filament I ever had. I've never dried it. I've never put it away. So I'm guessing maybe there was a moisture concern. Point being is that I was like, okay, if I can print like a concept, I can rebuild this on here with the EBB42 just to make sure it fits. And then I can take the model and then send it off to PCBWay, have it machined, have the threads tapped, all that kind of thing. But then I got an email from Luke, and Luke is clearly a smart guy. I've never built printers before, so I guess it just didn't occur to me that this was possible. But he's like, you dumbass, what are you even doing? Just mount it to the side of the LGX Pro. He didn't call me a dumbass, but I did. I called myself a dumbass. Look here on the side of the LGX Pro, the extruder, there are 2 little holes here. Almost like they were put there for a purpose, for you to mount stuff to. So he said, just mount it to the side, like so. So I can just take this all apart, mount this to the side of the LGX Pro. The leads will be long enough for me to connect to it. It'll look a little gnarlier, but you know, I kind of like how gnarly it looks. That's exactly what I'm doing now. I just sent a little adapter. I just made a little adapter by combining an EBB42 adapter off printables or something like that. And then I took the CAD file for the LGX and just lined up the holes. That way I can keep the little standoffs. This EBB42, by nature of the way it's laid out, most of it mounts on the sort of the extruder section and not the motor, because the motor will get a little warm, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a concern because most of it's mounted over on this side. Printing a little adapter bracket on the flash forge. Once that's off, I'm going to take this all apart, mount the EBB42, and then go back to square one. But hopefully that will be able to allow me sort of not having to do all these workarounds and band-aids and bubble gum and chewing tape. Bubble gum and chewing tape? Chewing tape. Still a little early to have to make this thing work, so I can start sort of afresh with sort of a more open source thing. Hey, look, $5. And close up shop early today. So hopefully it'll allow me to do, have an open, sourcey, more supported sort of thing going forward. That's the name of the game for today. And so far now I've got the EBB42 here on the print head, got that all put in. I think I did a great job with the wiring. Wiring in these JST connectors, JST PH to XH to back and forth, and using GPT and Esoterical and Discord threads and Reddit and Grok to kind of figure all this out. It's been immensely helpful. So gonna be working on that more today, but I've got a few other 3D print related things that I wanted to work on. And if you saw in the opening where I put B-roll over the lo-fi hip hop, I've got, oh yeah, and also, before all that, the fun part. We're gonna do a rap album cover. Is that a good thumbnail? I got my new black, no, just kidding. Got my new Black & Decker here. This is my annealing oven, and I know a lot of people right now are screaming, why would you buy a brand new oven just to anneal parts? You gotta go to a thrift shop, you gotta buy a used one or something like that. Dude, it's 50 bucks, okay? 50 bucks versus what, 40 bucks on Facebook Marketplace? And this, I know it works, or probably. So I got this little here toaster oven. This is for annealing parts, and if you saw the little B-roll I did, I was annealing some parts off the flash forge using my Fibron, which I have back in its little housing here, because it is advised that you anneal the PA612CF15 after printing. So I didn't do a full 16-hour anneal on that part. It was the adapter for the Armstrong Giga's head, the EBB42. Annealed it for a few hours, and then as I was putting it together, I realized my measurements were off anyway, so I just reprinted the thing in ABS. Should be absolutely fine, 100%, but it is nice to have that dedicated annealing oven there. Aside from that, I've got these here little primitives. What are these for? Well, I'm glad you asked, because these little primitives here, they're basically just little plugs. So if you saw the last episode or some of the other posts, I've been working on putting railings on my back deck, and that's really for the dogs. And so I need gates. I need swinging gates. The deck's rather large, and one gate is going to be terribly inconvenient to kind of like walk to one gate just to walk around. So I put 3 gates, which necessitated getting a gate kit, because the gate kit from Trex is like $600 for one gate. I'm not doing that. That's a little rich for your boy. I went on Amazon and got this gate kit, which are, I think these are $100 a piece, all steel. And I'm getting to the 3D print part, relax. These are obviously set up for wood. You can see here, it's got kind of like this bracket here that you fit a 2x4 in, back and forth, and it's meant for, I don't know, whatever I guess solid through the middle. So I knew that when I got it, I'd have to fab it because I want to match the rest of the gate, the railings around there. So I'm gonna have to kind of like figure things out along the way. The ideal scenario is to have the same bars that the Trex gate uses all through here. Problem is, this is steel. How do I get these to stay in place? Because I'm gonna use remnant or scrap or just fresh pieces of the railing from the Trex kit and kind of work it in up top here. I can figure that out. That's not what I'm really concerned about. My concern is getting these railings into here and keeping them in place. So the best way I figured out is to actually screw these in from underneath. Now that requires a lot of drilling through steel, you know, square tube channel, but I can get around that. So my thinking was, take this here gate, you take the tube, which is hollow, I drill a stupid little hole up here, and then I drill a screw down inside. But the screw, you might saying, well, it's hollow in there, what's the screw gonna stick to? Well, if I imagine for a lot of people, they wouldn't really care. And if they had a screw that went, I'm not using these screws, they're big lag screws, but if they had a screw going in there, you know, it'd kind of rattle around a little bit. So my thinking and my noggin, that hurt to print these little plugs, and I put a teeny tiny hole in the middle, and then I take these here plugs and I pop them in. That way, when I drill the hole, I can put this in place, send the screw, and it will keep it, well, mostly in place. These are I put the prototypes in this one. This is really just the screw rattling around inside of here. Could probably dress it up with a washer or something like that, but that will keep the screw held in place. It'll keep the bar in place. These are ABS, so they should kind of hold up. They're not really exposed to UV, and if they do degrade, my thinking is if they do degrade and break, you know, I'm trying to think about its degradation cycle over time. Like, it would have to completely just evaporate into dust before it would fail. And even if it does, the screw's still in place. So worst case scenario, it rattles around and I can say, okay, back to the drawing board, let's figure something else out. But at a minimum, this buys me several years, if not an indefinite amount of time, that these rails will be held in place, and it completes the aesthetic. It looks okay, it looks good. So let's go ahead and pop a couple of these in just to see how the concept works. Safety first, beloved. Here's a little hot tip that's unrelated. When you set your chop saw down, make sure you kind of put it in a way to where if you walk by and graze, you're gonna catch that blade right in your arm. The goal is to build up scar tissue on your arms. That way you can use it for personal defense. All right, and so check it out. Nice and sturdy. Dog's not gonna make it through that. Screws kind of line up, look, you know, passable, I would say. And yeah, it gives it a nice clean look. And obviously, you know, I have to fill in the top here with those railings, but for the middle part, I think this is gonna work out really well. Now I just have to drill 600 more holes, just like that. Super easy. So that's what's going on. What's this? The Austin Powers Swedish-made pin. No, the latest and greatest from Infinity Flow. This is the S1, is it the Plus or the Pro? The Plus or the Pro, I can't remember. So you guys know I stand hard for the Infinity Flow S1. I've been using it on the Giga. You know, I know there were some times where there were like problems with it, but ultimately, I don't even know if that is the Infinity Flow's fault and not the Giga's. They were very kind. Thank you again, Infinity Flow. I know I've sold several through my link. Appreciate everyone who's bought one using my link because they work great. Easy, top 5 most recommended things that I actually use that I've received here on this channel. If you're unfamiliar, Infinity Flow, it's an automatic filament reload device. So if spool runs out, it automatically loads up the next one, so you don't have to sit there and wait for it to run out. You know, it's a couple $100. well worth it. Absolutely, positively well worth it. If you're gonna spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a 3D printer, it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. So they were very kind to send over their latest and greatest model. It's the Plus or the Pro. It is the S1 Plus, the latest and greatest from Infinity Flow. So same sort of form factor as the previous model, same basic functionality, but a lot of improvements along the way. They're also very nice to include some of their new version of their filament cutters, because we've ran into several things. If you've been a fan of the channel, you know on the Giga, where the cutters, if I had them installed, would have made a big difference. I did have a failure on the original model of the cutters, and that's ultimately why I removed them, but these seem to be greatly improved. I mean, you could get the finish on this. I mean, it's 3D printed. Did they smooth it or just use a smooth plate? I mean, you can tell it's 3D printed from the pattern. I guess it's a smooth plate. That's about one of the smoothest damn 3D prints I've ever seen. I guess on the smooth, and look at even the side. If they printed it face down, sides are clean. And maybe it's just because all my 3D print stuff looks like garbage, and this is normal. This is not normal. This is very well made right off the rip. I'm already dropping pieces. So a good portion of this is indeed 3D printed. I believe they printed it at a AS, just look it up. Notable improvements of this model, they do have an app now, so you can interface with this device via your smartphone. You do that over Wi-Fi, so this thing actually connects to Wi-Fi. The previous model was kind of a sort of a dumb device. You know, it just worked based on the sensors, but this one's got much more technology sort of crammed into it. They're certainly evolving it, and kudos to Infinity Flow for not resting on their laurels. Laurel Yanny, and improving and, you know, pushing the chains forward. I gave them that. If they come out with a filament hub, I just want to let everybody know that was my idea. I fed them that idea. Just make a hub where you can put like 12 spools in, and it will just pull from 12 spools instead of having the roll. Anyway, I'm taking future credit for an idea that they haven't even accepted. Probably, this is the stupidest idea I ever heard. Previously, I'm not sure what the body was printed out of, but this is printed out of ASA aluminum components. It's got the extruder, or, you know, sort of feed motors here. All the same parts, the same basic layout, but just with a lot. It's greatly improved. You know, and some printers require an adapter, like I had to print out for the Flash Forge. Any printer that doesn't have a tube, a PTFE tube that goes all the way to the printhead, you will need some kind of adapter in order to connect it, because you do have to have a tube running from the machine all the way there, because the machine's constantly delivering pressure through that tube, and if it's just bare filament, well, then it will just, you know, it'll slack out. So you do have to have it running all the way there. I printed the adapter very easily for the Flash Forge. They have the model available on their GitHub, or they sell it for like a few dollars. So really liking what I'm seeing out of Infinity Flow. I champion them almost every video, and, you know, if you want to pick one up, link is in the description below. Appreciate you using my link. If you've got a large format printer that chews through a lot of filament, it's a no-brainer. I'm not saying you need to get the S1 Plus, but you get the S1, get the S1 Plus, just buy it. Use the link, go buy it right now. I'm gonna set this up as part of the Orange Storm Giga sort of overhaul, and it's gonna be a key component of it. And that's why I really wanted to get this, is to sort of, you know, as I'm doing the Giga overhaul, make sure that this is like a core component of it, because it's just been a lifesaver thus far with not having to stay on top of ordering filament, or, you know, really having to get those 5 kilo spools. Someone was remarking, because I had suggested in a previous vlog that, like, you know, your options are limited on 5 kilo spools, and the pricing isn't all that aggressive. And they were trying to refute that and saying, like, it is aggressive, but the only 5 kilo spools I've ever found were in about that $65 range, and, you know, I'm buying Sunlu basic PLA or whatever. Basically stuff that's as close to 10 bucks a spool as I could possibly get. And when you get into the 5 kilo spools, there's a premium on it. You pay a little bit more for it. And so, you know, it makes sense to me in terms of like being able to have options in the filament. You know, if I want a silk filament or PETG or ASA, I don't know, do they make 5 kilo ASA rolls? I'm sure they do, but, you know, what are your options there? Or do you have the myriad of options that you do with 1 kilo spools? Absolutely not. And so I really like a product like this that I can feed whatever filament I want into it, and it's gonna work and behave similar to the only real benefit you get out of a 5 kilo spool, which is you don't have to replace it as often. That's it, because price it's not beaten on price. This kind of eliminates that and allows me to explore that myriad of options. I'm gonna be setting that up, gonna be working on everything and everything else, all these parts, pieces, working on the Giga, getting my PhD in 3D printing. Again, thanks to everybody who's been jumping in and helping me. I do operate a Discord. If you're super duper smart with 3D printing and you wanna help me out, drop your handle below or send me an email or something like that. Again, I'm not trying to build community or just have a Discord hangout sort of thing. I'm really just trying to keep it for business and kind of stuff. But if you're so inclined, reach out. I'd love to have your help, obviously, and I'd certainly appreciate it. Let me know what you think about any or all of these things in the comments below. Be sure to like the video because it's a nice thing to do. And of course, subscribe for more content like this. I'm The Technicals. See you next time.